Once upon a time, in a land veiled by emerald forests and painted with golden sunlight, there was a little girl named Rapunzel whose destiny was written not by choice but by the twist of fate her parents could not escape. Long ago, her mother had longed for a leafy plant called Rapunzel during pregnancy, and her father, driven by love yet blinded by desperation, plucked it from the forbidden garden of an enchantress, a mysterious woman said to weave magic and mischief alike, only to strike an eerie bargain for their unborn child, promising the witch the child in exchange for her ingredient, sealing Rapunzel's fate before she took her first breath. The moment she was born, the enchantress claimed her and called her Rapunzel, naming her after the very plant that sparked the bargain, and raised her in a remote tower that stood alone in the depths of an enchanted forest, a tower with no door, no stairs, and only one window gleaming like a solitary star. From that towering prison Rapunzel watched seasons change and sunrises bloom, her heart full of wonder but her world small and silent, for her life was defined by the stone walls around her. And the long, shimmering hair that fell in golden waves like sunlight trapped in strands, cascading all the way to the mossy ground below whenever the witch came and whispered the secret words for her to let it down. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. And so the witch would climb, her crooked fingers curling around the braids of hair as if they were threads of celestial light, and Rapunzel knew that for all her captivity she was loved in a strange way by this woman who claimed to care for her, but still her heart ached for a world she had never seen beyond her lonely window. Day after day, Rapunzel spent her hours painting the sky with her dreams and singing songs that echoed through the silent woods, her voice like the whisper of wind through leaves, until one brisk morning a young prince wandered through those same woods, drawn by the melody that seemed woven of moonlight and longing, and when he stumbled upon the towering spire rising above the trees, he stopped in awe, his heart racing like thunder in a quiet valley, for he had never heard a song so beautiful. Hidden behind the boughs, he watched as the enchantress commanded Rapunzel's hair to fall, and with each glance he fell deeper into the enchantment of her voice, and on the next day, and the next, he returned, hoping to catch another note of that song of hope until one afternoon, his courage blossomed like a sunrise in his chest and he whispered the same magic words the witch used, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. And to his astonishment it did, a cascade of gold fluttering down. Like the sun itself had woven its rays into a rope, and when he reached the top, face to face with Rapunzel's wide wondering eyes, he felt a harmony in his soul he had never known, like meeting one's own heartbeat reflected in another's gaze. In that instant neither knew whether it was courage or fate that urged him to speak, but he introduced himself with a trembling smile, and Rapunzel, whose world had known only the tall tower and the enchantress's voice, felt a spark of joy burst within her like shooting stars filling the night sky, for here was someone who looked at her not as an object of beauty to possess or as a captive to control, but as a person whose voice and dreams mattered. Each day thereafter the prince visited, and with every visit their friendship grew like a garden in sunlight, blooming with laughter, stories of distant lands, and tender moments of shared wonder, until at last he confessed that he had fallen in love with her soul, her courage, her heart that refused to be subdued by walls and isolation. Rapunzel, her heart aflame with feelings she had never dared to name, told him she loved him too, and they devised a plan for her escape, hatched under the veil of moonlight and whispered into the woven threads of silk he brought each night. Silk he hoped she would weave into a ladder that would lead her away from the tower and into the vast unknown world beyond. Every piece of silk he brought, every moment they spent together, was an act of faith, a testament to their belief that love should set one free rather than bind one to sorrow, until at last Rapunzel herself mentioned the prince's visits to the enchantress in a careless moment, as she helped the witch climb up one day, and the enchantress's eyes darkened with fury, her heart hardened like frozen stone as she realized her secret was discovered. In a cruel act of betrayal, she cut Rapunzel's long golden hair and cast her out into a wilderness without warmth or safety, a place where shadows whispered and fear walked hand in hand with uncertainty, leaving the prince's heart to break against the rocky ground where his beloved once stood. When the prince arrived that evening and called out for Rapunzel, all he saw was the enchantress holding strands of severed hair like fallen sunbeams, and in his grief he leapt from the tower's height, his faith and love driving him forward, only to be blinded by the thorny embrace of wild brambles that tore at his eyes and left him stumbling through the forest guided solely by memory and the echo of Rapunzel's voice. Yet fate, ever mysterious and wise, did not abandon him, and as he wandered blind and weary through years that felt like lifetimes, the sound of a familiar song drifted through the wind like a promise carried on a breeze. It was Rapunzel, transformed not by despair but by resilience, living in the wilderness and raising 2 children born of love and courage. And when he heard her voice and felt her embrace, tears of joy streamed down her cheeks, their brilliance more radiant than any sunrise. And those tears fell upon his blinded eyes as if they were drops of the purest magic, and miraculously his sight returned, filling his vision with the love that never faded. The prince carried Rapunzel and their children to his kingdom, where they were welcomed with awe and celebration, for the tale of a girl who refused to be defined by her tower and a prince who never gave up hope became legend. They ruled with kindness and courage, and their story was told from hearth to hearth as a reminder that love, faith, and perseverance can move even the darkest shadows into dawn. And now, dear viewer, as you've journeyed with Rapunzel through wonder and trial, courage and hope, remember that every challenge you face can be met with the same bravery that lifted Rapunzel from a lonely tower into a world full of light. And if this tale inspired you, made your heart beat a little faster or lifted your spirit a little higher, then don't forget to smash that subscribe button, ring the bell for more enchanting stories just like this, and join our family so you never miss a moment of magic, because here we turn every legend into a journey you'll never forget. Subscribe now and be part of the adventure.